Hi, welcome to the Annie's YouTube channel. My name is Katelyn, and today we're going to talk about the Simply Beads Kit of the Month Club, the Fringe Benefits. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can use the pieces that come in this kit to make some really great additional items if you don't want to follow along with the exact pattern that you get. If you're not already part of the Kit Club, you can go down to the description box below. You'll find a link on how to sign up. And in each monthly kit, you get all of the supplies that you need to make whatever the project is. You'll need some tools and potentially some other items to help out along the way, but pretty much everything comes in your kit every month, and you get to make some really great jewelry projects. And better yet, if you don't like exactly what comes in the kit, you can come back here and see some extra samples of what I've come up with as additional projects. Like these earrings, some great necklaces, and some other great projects that I show you how to make along the way. So thanks for coming and hope you enjoy. So we're going to start off talking about the Fringe Benefits kit, but we're going to talk about the earrings that are designed in the kit. And as I mentioned before, we're going to talk about some different options that you have if this particular piece isn't your taste. So let me show you some of the other ideas that I came up with using the materials in this kit to make some additional earrings. If you take a look here, you'll see 4 different pairs of earrings. 2 of them are quite simple, and 2 of them are a little bit more different. So let's take a look and break them down. So the first 2 over here on the side are basically the same construction of using your head pins to make your drops, which is exactly how they tell you how to do in the directions for this piece right here. We're doing that exactly the same. The difference then becomes what you're adding on the top. So in your instructions, you're adding 1 bead each, or in this case, 1 bead each for the earring. But here I'm adding a couple beads to my eye pin. So still using my eye pin from the kit, adding a crystal, adding a round, and then I'm actually taking one of the leftover crystals that I had from a previous kit. So always save your extra materials. You never know when they'll come in handy. And I'm just putting them on the eye pin and then putting my simple loop at the top to create this nice drop earring. The difference between these is the size of the rounds that I'm using, along with the placement of where I put the round versus the crystal. Again, still using the drop, using my eye pin and my head pin that comes in the kit. So those are just 2 ideas, simple ideas that you could do. I also wanted to show you that if you try some of these other ideas that I'm giving you, you're not going to use all of your jump rings. So you can take your jump rings and make one of those great love knots that we made in the last kit, the Sea Breeze kit, and you can use that as a connector between your ear wire and your drop, which again, same drop concept as we talked about here, using your head pin, making your wrapped loop at the top, adding a jump ring, connecting it to your rosette, and connecting it to your ear wire. So again, it's a simple look. It's not too blingy, but it really adds a lot of great texture to it with your little rosette, and it really does make it something you can kind of wear with any piece. Another idea I have here is taking a look at using your eye pins and head pins in a different way. So this is using the full eye pin. I strung my crystal bead on, and rather than cutting it to make my loop here, I just made my loop right here at the end. And so it gave me all this wiggle room for this to play around and kind of give it some great dimension, and see how it drapes like that. It's just a really great look. Something simple, but again, something with a little bit of a difference from what we're seeing in the kit. So these are some great ideas for earrings, and we're going to kind of look at these a little bit more, these ones here particularly, and we're going to talk about using your eye pin in this extended way as I show you how to make a necklace to match these. So we talked about some different earring ideas that you could use with this kit if you didn't want to create them exactly how they are in the instructions like this. And one of the pairs I showed you were these long dangle earrings. And here, as I mentioned before, we're using the eye pin, but using the full eye pin instead of cutting it off as you would with any of the connectors in here. So I took that concept and I turned it into a necklace as well as one of your options. So again, we're back here with our drop, just as you have in your instructions, and I added one of the extra crystals that I had from a previous kit, and I added some fluff at the top to make kind of like a cha-cha type necklace or piece. So I added some extra drops here, which I'll show you in a minute. And then I took one single crystal and I added it here to my a head pin this time, and left it long so that it would have some extra length to it. So all you're going to do when you want to do this is take your head pin, you're going to string or thread on your bead, and then rather than cutting it here, you're just going to take your pliers and you're going to create your loop starting here and rolling around. It's that simple. And then you have all this room for your bead to slide around, just like you see here or in the earrings. Now, you may have noticed when looking at this that these head pins are they're not what you got in your kit. So in the kit, you got a bald head pin, right? But as I was doing the different examples, I started to run out. And also when you look at this is a lot of room here that if you are cutting them down short, you're gonna have a lot of extra pieces. And so what I did is I collected all of my little pieces and I turned them into my own little head pin. So how I did this is I got the bead that I wanted to use and I got my piece of scrap wire and I used a chain nose plier and I come in here and I pinch it at the very end. So it's just flush with the top of my wire. And I'm going to bend this over as far as I can. And so it's going to look something like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to squeeze. Sometimes you'll hear it click, it's okay. I'm going to squeeze and then I can straighten it if it's not, until it gets like that. And so basically you're just folding over the end of the wire so that your bead can't fall off. Then I will string my bead. Actually, let me use a smaller bead because that one's not working. Again, you have to check the holes. This hole was a little too big for my made head pin, so I could just put a little bead like this on the bottom or a little seed bead and then it gets held on. And then I would go ahead and take my round nose pliers and roll this, roll this around to be a loop. And then you have a little dangle with your own handmade head pin, just like that. And then that's what I used to attach to one of the jump rings. I added my turquoise pendant piece, then I added my additional dangle pieces and my long piece to get this really great necklace. Now I put a long chain on it, you could put whatever you want, and it matches really nice with these earrings because they both have this long piece with the crystal, they have the turquoise. And I just want to show you that when you make long necklaces like this, you can take the time and try to put together the chain so it's seamless, or you can use a jump ring. And the jump ring will connect the two pieces, and I always like to add an extra little crystal on there, and you can see with my made head pin, and I just like to do that for a little extra decoration. So there you go with your nice little necklace and your matching earrings to go with it. So we just finished talking about doing a cha-cha style necklace, in this case, where we had all of our dangles suspended from this one jump ring at the top and everything else came from it. But I'd like to show you a different example of making a cha-cha necklace, and that is like this. And this has a ton of dangles on it. It really gives a lot of movement, a lot of texture, a lot of sparkle, and really combines everything all together. So let's show you how to make this. So first at the top here, you'll see that I have this large link, and that actually came from this chain that comes in your kit. You're going to take your chain and you're going to find the connection or the split at the top, and we're going to open it just like a jump ring. Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky. You're going to really have to pull and use your leverage to open it, but I'm opening it a little bit, sliding the chain off, and now I have my link. I went ahead and I strung 3 jump rings on, 2 of which I used here to connect my chain, and then 1 down here on the bottom to connect all of my dangle pieces. So then once you have those 3 connected, you can go ahead and close this up and we'll work on the necklace. So as before, we're using the head pin and we're adding our turquoise drop, and that's going to go at the very bottom. Now, typically when you make a cha-cha necklace or bracelet, you're using a piece of chain and you're adding all of your dangles on it. The chain that comes in your kit is actually has too small of a hole to fit through the head pins. So when you go to stick a head pin through, you can't get through. Like, I'm missing it because I can't get through this piece. It's just stuck. So I came up with a different solution for this since we don't have additional chain. Now, if you have chain in your stash, you could go ahead and use it. This chain is too large for my liking for how the project would turn out, so I didn't use this. What I did is I took an eye pin and I turned it into my own piece of chain. And I did that by making some loops. And then I hung this from the top jump ring up here, and then I hung my dangle here, and then I filled the other 3 holes with a bunch of different dangles. Okay, so let me show you how to make that. So I'm going to take my eye pin with my loop at the bottom. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm going to make the loops. So I'm going to grab my pliers and hold it down here at the base. Just like that, I'm pinching it right above that loop, okay? And I'm keeping it close to the tip because I only want a small hole. I'm going to wrap this one away from myself around as far as I can, readjust my pliers, and wrap fully all the way up so that my rest of my wire is coming from the top again where it was before. I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to grasp the piece just like that right at the last loop that I made, and I'm going to keep it close to the top. But this time I'm going to wrap this direction so that my loop goes on the other side. Sorry, I'm going to have to hold it this way. And I'm going to wrap it all the way up like I did before, readjusting and pulling my loop up like that. So now I have 3, okay? I still have room here, so I'm gonna go again. I'm gonna grasp it right next to the loop, and this time I'm gonna go away from me so that my loop's on the other side, readjusting my pliers as I go, and straightening it, and now I have 3 loops. And I think I can do 1 more, so I'm going to hold it down here. I'm going to grab this wire, and I'm going to push it around. And if you get a little bit stuck, feel free to grab your chain nose pliers and finish up that loop. Now my loop didn't come out very great, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to chop it off. There obviously wasn't enough room, so I'm just going to grab my pliers, come in here, and snip that piece off. I'm going to use my chain nose pliers to just kind of squeeze it to get it a little bit flat. If I need to readjust it, I can. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick that in there, and I'm going to add my dangles onto it. So I will go ahead and make my head pins either the way I showed you the last time with bending the ends, or you can use the head pins that come in your kit, and you will put your loop at the top, and we will open the loop by twisting them open. Oops. By twisting them open, you'll take your link here, and sorry, you're gonna have to hold it in place. You'll thread on your dangle, grab your pliers, and close up your loop. And you'll continue to do that until you have as many as you like. I really filled mine up so that it would have a lot of movement and everything. And I just tried to stagger between crystals on one side and crystals on the other so that it would be quite even and full looking. So that's a great way to make a cha-cha necklace when you don't have chain that will fit your dangles. Use some wire and make your own. So maybe your style is more of wire working. So here's some great ideas of what else you can do with your kit. Using the eye pins that come in your kit, you can make connectors, just like in the instructions, but with different beads to make a beautiful bracelet. Here I used my turquoise drop along with a round and 2 crystals that I had from a previous kit, and I just connected them all together, added a clasp, and used a jump ring to make a bracelet. I also did something similar here with this necklace, but instead of combining beads everywhere like I did here, the solid strand, I added 2 inches of chain in between to give a different look. This also helped me get a 30-inch necklace, which makes it a long necklace. You could also do it shorter depending on what you like. So let me show you how you would go about making something like that. So here you can see I have a chain already started, and this time I made my pattern a turquoise round, a crystal, a turquoise round as one connector, then just a crystal as a second, and repeated it down. So what I want to do is I'm going to add 1 more of the crystals on this end, and then I'll show you how to add a clasp on. So I'm going to take 1 of our eye pins, and again, if you wanted to, you could take a piece of leftovers, wrap this end, put your crystal on, and wrap that end if you wanted to, but I'm going to show you with this, and I'm just going to thread on my crystal, and I wanted to show you this really awesome tool that comes in handy when working this way. This is called a one-step looper, and I stick in the wire, there's a little hole in there that I stick it through, I push it up against the tool, and I just close it, and it's cutting my wire. So here's my extra piece that I can save to make a head pin or something later, and it's forming my loop at the same time. Then I don't have to worry about getting a 1/4 of an inch or anything else like that. I can come in here, twist open my loop, join it to the end, twisting it closed again. Oops. And now I have my loop. Now I know this bracelet is the right size for me, so I'm just going to hold it up here, and I can see that I'm a little short. So I know that my clasp for my kit is going to go on that end, so let's just add that so we can get started. So I'm going to take my jump ring, find my little split at the top, and I'm going to twist it open. I'm going to thread on my clasp. Oops. Thread on my clasp. Then I'm going to thread on my chain. I'm going to grab my other pliers, and I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to twist it closed. Okay, so that's how we always work a jump ring, so nothing new there. And I'm going to straighten this out, and just be careful when you're measuring. Right here it kind of got twisted, so I'm just going to untwist it so that it's straight and I can see the full length. And I'm going to set my clasps together, and I can see that I have some room here. So an option would be to get something like a closed jump ring to add a little texture, or you could actually add one of these that we used from our chain, our thick chain that came with the kit. So you could take off one, and what we're going to do is we're going to attach it, let me grab another jump ring, with 2 jump rings. So since this is already open, I'm just going to hold on to it, and I'm going to thread, my 2 jump rings. And I need 2 jump rings for this because I'm going to use one of them to connect to the bracelet and one to connect to the clasp, because the clasp is not big enough to be able to go over this, so we're going to add the jump ring. Then I'm going to take my 2 pliers, and again, this is going to be a little bit thick and hard, but I'm going to just kind of grab it and massage it back, back into place until I have my 2 jump rings on there. Okay, then I'll take my 1 jump ring, grab it, twist it open, add the second side of my bracelet and close it up. And now my bracelet is complete. So now I have just about the same length, might be a tad bit smaller, but it'll still work on my wrist. Or you could try to add more beads in if you're not making all of these additional projects, or keep some off your cha-cha necklace. So then you can clasp it and you've got this nice little decorative piece here at the end, and you've got a beautiful bracelet. I showed you how to make this necklace using the wrapped loops to make the little chain pieces of beads, and then adding your pieces of chain in between to make a beautiful necklace. And what I'm going to do now is I'd like to show you how to make a chain tassel to go with this necklace, to add a little bit of weight to the bottom so it hangs down in the front. In order to make a chain tassel, we're going to need a head pin. We're going to need a tassel cap, which you can purchase at the store, or if you had the Sea Breeze kit, you might actually have one of these left over. I'm going to have some decorative beads to go on the top of it, and I'm going to need some chain. Now this chain is the chain that came in your kit, and I pre-cut 10 pieces of 2 inches, and the number of pieces that you're going to need is going to be dependent on what cap that you use. The larger your cap, the larger number of chains you're going to need to fill it. Because as you string all of these, you're going to want it to fill up this hole on the inside as much as you can. Okay, so to start, we're going to take our head pin, and I already opened it, and I tested mine to see how many pieces would fit on. So I got to about 7 pieces before I was able to close this loop again. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to stick it into the loop, and I'm just going to kind of massage it to make it a little bit of a larger loop and get rid of the little bump that was in there. And then I can go ahead and readjust this as I finish closing it off. But now already I have a larger loop to fit on more chain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chain, and I'm just going to thread it on here. So I have 1, 2, okay, you can also thread it from the top if that makes it easier for you. Oops, I'm sorry. You can thread it from the top. As you can tell, this is a little tricky to see. The chain is small, but you can thread it right on the top and it'll slide down onto your loop as well, if that's easier than trying to get it around the curve of your loop at the bottom. So just take your time, be kind to yourself. This is not the easiest thing to do with threading this very thin wire. Now, I talked to you before when we were doing the cha-cha necklace about how this chain is too thin for the wire to go through. That is true when the chain is all connected, but here at the end, when there's only one loop connected to it, it slides right on to your wire. Okay, so once you have all of your pieces on and down at the bottom, I'm going to take my pliers and find the end, and I'm going to just loop it up here. Now, it's not going to be a perfect loop or anything else like that, but really it's just to make sure that it's connected enough so that your chain doesn't fall off. Now I lost a piece, so I might want to go back and fiddle with this a little bit more, but I'll show you the basics and then I can go ahead and adjust it later. So once you have your chain on, you're going to stick it on through your cap. And so this is what you're testing. You're making sure that your cap is relatively full, but that your loop is not showing. So you want to pull that up as much as you can. And then I'm going to add some decorative beads onto the top, just to give it a little something extra. I'm going to use my one-step looper again, sticking it through, looping it, And then all you need to do is take this loop, twist it open, stick it around the chain. We're not going to stick it through the chain this time. Oh no, my bead got stuck up there. Hold on. Sometimes that happens. So I'm going to just stick it on my chain, not through my chain. And I'm going to close up my loop. Now I have this great little tassel on my necklace, and I'm using up the leftover chain that I had from my other projects. Thanks so much for joining me today to talk about the Simply Beads of the Month Kit Club, the Fringe Benefits, and all the different ways you can use the pieces in your kit to make some beautiful items. I hope you enjoyed, and if you're not already subscribed, head down to the description box below to get a link and sign up so you can join us next month. Don't forget to subscribe to the Annie's YouTube channel and like this video. Thanks!